India has surpassed Brazil as the world's biggest producer of sugar, churning out a record-breaking 30 million tonnes of the sweet stuff last year. But those on the lowest end of the food chain, the seasonal workers who harvest and process the product, receive meager incomes and live in dire conditions.
For more than 10 hours a day, these hands harvest stalks of sugarcane. They belong to 40-year-old Sakina, who migrates to the southern part of Gujarat every year with her husband and children to find a job in the fields. Money is essential to run the household. It's not like we don't need money. I have small children who depend on me. While we're at home, my children can study for months, but during the 6-month-long migration season, they miss school. This is a big obstacle for their education. After 6 months of backbreaking work, Sakina collects a salary of a mere 350 euros. If she needs an advance, she can ask her employer for a loan. But the interest rate could be up to 50%, making it impossible to pay off and beginning a cycle of debt. Sakina is one of nearly 1.5 million Indians who migrate internally to work in sugarcane fields. The sugar is processed in a factory less than 20 kilometers away. It's one of the largest crushing mills in the region, running 24 hours a day and employing more than 1,000 people, many of whom live in this nearby camp, which lacks basic amenities, something that local activists are trying to change. Our demands also include access to clean drinking water, electricity, toilets, and bathroom facilities, since the women have to go out for toilets or take a shower outside. If the government wants the well-being of laborers, they should make a law that is implemented immediately that provides them with the right to live with dignity. Back in the fields, workers toil to earn a small wage and bring sugar to homes around the world.
For more on this, we can cross now to DW correspondent Charu Kartike in Delhi. Charu, we saw in the report just now how difficult life is for these seasonal sugar workers. Are their voices being heard by authorities in India?
Well, they're not, Kate. In fact, the government's role recently came under scrutiny after the Bombay High Court took note of a newspaper article on the plight of these workers, and it filed a suo motu public interest litigation case on this matter. The thing is, these workers are entitled to a lot of protection under several labor laws, some of which are also state-specific in India, but obviously they are being denied those protections. So now the Bombay High Court is pulling up the state government, and the state government is busy giving assurances that it will set up mechanisms to ensure that these workers are protected.
And there's another really important aspect to this story. The children of these workers spend months often without going to school. This must have huge repercussions for their future.
Oh, yes, Kate, massive repercussions. In fact, one report suggests that as many as 200,000 children younger than 14 accompany their parents during the cutting season every year. That's a big number. They live in temporary accommodations, obviously, with their parents when they're gone. And obviously, they miss school. Some of them drop out from school altogether at a very young age. And eventually, there's no option left for them but to join their parents in the fields and eventually meeting the same kind of fate as their parents. So that's obviously very tragic. Unfortunately, no development seems to be happening on this front as of now.
Now, these are, of course, personal stories that are part of what is a very important industry for India. As we mentioned earlier, it recently surpassed Brazil as the world's biggest sugar producer. But exports have not actually risen as much as you might expect. Why is that?
Well, Kate, actually, the thing is, India is not just the world's largest sugar producer. It is also the world's largest consumer. So it needs a lot for domestic consumption as well. So and right now, because of changing weather patterns, the priorities have entirely shifted to fulfilling domestic needs first. So in fact, this year, this is probably for the first time in the last several years that India has actually restricted exports because there are fears that El Nino might hit the production. And if the production is hit, then domestic needs might suffer. Also, the government believes that there's a lot of volatility in international markets. So it's better to focus on fulfilling domestic needs, then leaving the rest for ethanol, and then looking at exports depending upon the stocks later on.
All right. Charu Kartike in Delhi, thank you so much.